Greetings to all of humanity. It's really a joy. It's a pleasure to be out here in nature and breathing in this lovely prana and listening to the chirping of the birds while being in this beautiful garden. And people would travel from many places all around the world and visit this garden because it's a place of interest. And certain things have been revealed to me concerning this beautiful garden right here and concerning our ancestor, and these things will be put in a book concerning this entire country that I'm living in, and the things that we were taught and the history that was given to us and so on. And I'm going to show people that many things that were taught to us concerning this beautiful island, it is not really the truth. But that is not what I really want to speak about today. What I really want to speak about is how Abdullah, our ancestor and the mentor of Neville Goddard, would have taught Neville that the Bible is man's own biography. Therefore, Abdullah was teaching Neville Goddard that this message of self-realization is a message that must be taught to all of humanity, so that all of humanity at certain time and certain season would come to discover that their true identity is their divinity, and that they do not need to look outwardly but to look inwardly. Thus the reason why I always point you also to Luke 17:21, where it says that the kingdom of God is within you. And in Luke 17 and verses 20, it tells you that the coming of the Lord would be without observation, because when you come to your higher self, it would be without observation from without, because it would be something that would take place first within. And when it takes place within you, you would know that certain things can only be known by experience. It can't be known intellectually. So, my brothers and my sisters, this message of self-realization, of which Abdullah was teaching Neville Goddard, was to get us to realize that we are all one, and that there's only one universal consciousness, and that the entire Bible is a psychological drama. That when we discover this psychological drama, we'll also discover that the Bible and the Christ is speaking about our higher self, because the central theme of the Bible is Christ, and Christ is your higher self. So Jesus Christ is the man or woman in whom God awakes. Therefore, it's your own biography. So anyone who teaches you to look outside of yourself, they want to keep you in mediocrity. They want to keep you in poverty. They want to keep you in mental slavery. So here Abdullah was teaching Neville Goddard that the masses have been kept in mental slavery, and that he was going to teach him how to free himself first, and that would enable him to bring a message to the rest of humanity. So Abdullah knew that when one experienced a very burning desire, that it was a spiritual sensation, and that spiritual sensation is actually what I would call impregnation, if there's such a word. Okay, you've been impregnated with something. It's like a woman carrying a child and have to give birth, so you're carrying something, okay, when you have that burning desire, but it is not something just from the physical, it's something that's spiritual, and you would give the birth manifestation. So he knew that, because he understood the law and the laws that governs humanity and governs the universe. So here Abdullah was helping Neville Goddard to get to Barbados after Neville Goddard had that burning desire to visit Barbados after being away from Barbados for over 12 years, having lived the island when he was 17 years old and was living all those years in America, New York. And it was a time of a great drought, a time of recession, okay? You know, it was a time of depression, okay? It was 1933, And here was a man who was living in 1933 like a king. Yet this man was a Negro, and he was living his best life. He was living a life of knowing his true identity. But he was not selfish, and he was not bound up in a race and division and these kind of things that they teach us to separate us. Because many of us, we grew up in school, and the little children, the first thing they want to teach you about slavery. And so at that young age, they're impressing your subconscious mind with slavery and making you believe that you come from a place of mediocrity and believe that you are subhuman. But when you come to realize that the universal question of life is who am I, and when the answer comes, it must be I am, you will realize that I am is the name of God, which means I am whatever I believe myself to be. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So my brother and my sisters, here Abdullah was teaching Neville Goddard that God and man are one, and that the Bible is man's spiritual biography. But in order for a man to discover the Bible to be his spiritual biography, he have to be taught the Bible in a way whereby he have to look inwardly. Thus the reason why I always teach you that the Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically. That the Bible is not literal, neither is it secular history, for it was written symbolically, and it points you to understand the human psyche. So this was Abdullah's message to all of humanity. And Abdullah was exercising the love energy towards Neville Goddard to teach us that the love is the greatest power there is, and that love is the creative power, and that we must discover our creative power to achieve our every desire. Thus the reason why when Neville took what Abdullah was saying and put it to work in his own life, he was able to discover that imagination creates reality, and that consciousness is the only reality. Therefore, he realized that the Bible was his own biography, or his spiritual biography, because we are actually spirit having a human experience. Also, from this experience that Neville learned through the teaching of Abdullah, he come to realize that this life is nothing but a dream, and it's all a game. Now, based on my experience, having had those same experiences that Neville would have had, like busting his crown chakra and having the birth from the skull, which I would have had that experience, having awake within myself, I've come to realize that the game, the end game, is master and slave. Because this body is a slave to the mind. And you can choose to be the mind or the body. Which means you could choose to live in the humanistic realm, or you can choose to live in the realm of the spirit. So you can be carnally minded, or you can be Christ-minded. To be Christ-minded is to believe in the higher self. To be carnally minded is to believe in the things that the world has given unto you in terms of how the system have been set up. That's the reason why you're told in Romans 12 that you must not be conformed. Because everybody get caught up in conformity and they end up competing instead of creating. So you're told be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So in order to come to understand and to prove that the Bible is truly your own spiritual biography, you have to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So you have to change your thinking. So if you change your thinking, you change your life. And many people, especially, I can speak for my country, especially in my country, they're not willing to change their reality because they do not want to change their belief system from secular Christianity or from historical Christianity, because they refuse to reason logically. They refuse to look at things logically, because if they look at things logically, it will go against their belief system. And they will no longer be comfortable blaming the devil instead of blaming themselves for the problem, because circumstances are not, man are not the creatures of circumstances. Circumstances, they are the creatures of men. So we are the ones who are responsible for what is happening to us. We are the ones who are responsible for our environment. That's the reason why I'm not going to join the bandwagon of black men and women who want to blame everything else and another race and all of these other things, when I come to realize that I am the one who's created my reality, and we all been given a choice. One time I heard a guy in America named Kanye West say that slavery is a choice and everybody wanted to crucify him. But if you take me and put me in slavery and I so much against slavery, I can commit suicide. I have a choice. I have a choice, right, to love life so much and be so fearful that I can accept slavery, or I can drown myself, kill myself. Because based on what they said about slavery, they say many women took their child and threw themselves overboard and drowned themselves. That's what they say. I'm only saying what they say. So basically, everything boils down to a choice. It's the choice you make. Because I was also brainwashed as a little child to believe that the Bible is literal and that the Bible is secular history. Because right now in my country, the school system has a program that my grandmother, my great-great-great-great-grandmother, great-great-great-great-grandfather, and to me it seemed that you're going to continue for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, whereby in the morning the children have to have devotion and sing all these Jesus songs and so on. And at lunchtime they have to say prayers before lunch. And at evening they also have to say prayers. So they've been programmed to pray to Jesus and believe in Jesus. So it's very hard to get it out of their system. Now, I've never been to America, Europe and these places, but if you are listening to me, you can tell me about this, right? I would like to know if the schools in America, if they program like that, if the children have to be singing all these Jesus songs in the schools in America and in Europe and all of these other countries, because I've never been to these countries, but I'm telling you what's happening in my country, okay? But here, you know, I don't wanna digress too far. I wanna go back to Abdullah Neville, okay? But here was Abdullah teaching Neville this simple message of how we can create our reality consciously if we will look inwardly. Therefore, my encouragement to all who listen to me, forget about all of the story about slavery and learn to look inwardly and learn to create your reality consciously. For Abdullah could have gone to the opera without no one buying his ticket for him, and he was this complexion. So stop telling yourself the story that was fed to you and look inwardly to create your reality consciously and prove for yourself that everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. And I can tell you plainly that everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. And learn to connect your heart with your brain and experience the vibration of creation. So basically, my brother and my sisters, some of the things I just point out to you there, okay, you might listen to Neville Goddard messages and you might not even get some of those things. Okay, some of the finer things, okay, when it comes to the practical, okay? And I've just given you certain keys and I'm encouraging you to work with it. You understand? When you go into meditation, learn to connect the heart and the brain, okay? And you would reap the harvest. So, my brother and my sisters, I want to encourage you wherever you are or whatever part of the world you are. It is your thoughts that is creating your reality. And Abdullah taught us that we all have to learn to look inwardly. And I believe that Abdullah was not a person who was dwelling on thoughts of slavery and injustice and all of these foolishness, but it was one who knew his identity and he stayed focused and knowing his divinity. So with all of that being said, my brother and my sister, I want to thank you very much for listening to me. I hope what I would have said, it make sense to you. You know, earlier I had a little problem with the camera and I just had to continue. You know, it threw me off a little bit, but you know, I want to thank you for listening to me, and I believe that you would have gotten something. And if you've been listening to me and what I'm saying, if it's resonating with you and you feel led to subscribe, or you can like, you can comment, or if you feel that this message needs to be shared with others, I'm encouraging you to share it also. Also, I'm encouraging you to follow me on Instagram at Black Mad Guru, and to also check out my website, blackmadguru.com. Now, this message that I bring to you is the single eye message of self-realization, of which Matthew 6:22 teaches you that if your eye be single, your whole body will be full of light. And this was the real message that Abdullah wanted to convey to all of humanity. And I would have had the experience. That's the reason why I always give you the symbol of the single eye, and letting you know that when you have the experience, according to Matthew 6:22, that you will come to realize that it is the rising of the S-U-N in a S-O-N, and that is the dawning of a new day in your life. That's the reason why the Bible tells you in Psalms 84:11 that the Lord thy God is a S-U-N and a shield, and no good thing will he withhold from you. And in Malachi 4:2, it tells you that the sun, as in the S-U-N, of righteousness shall arise in you with healing in his wings. Therefore, my brother and my sister, if you would look closer, you will come to realize that there could never be any existence of any S-O-N without there first be the S-U-N. So logically speaking, Jesus Christ as a man 2,000 years ago could never ever be the light of the world. And there are churches in my country that is written up as their symbol that Jesus Christ is the light of the world. That is just to show you how deceived our people are. Therefore, my brother and my sisters, that I bring this message to a close, I want to say to you that the sun parallels the human imagination, and the human imagination parallels the sun. For without the sun, there is no life and there is no light. And without the human imagination, there isn't anything made that was made. Therefore, my brother and my sisters, seeing that the sun is what powers all of humanity, my encouragement to you is to use your mind power, which is your solar power, your God power, to achieve your every desire. For that is what was taught to us by our ancestor Abdullah. So with that being said, I want to say peace, love you all, I'm out.